this story now. We are off to Pretoria, where Ukrainian Association of South Africa are called for a day of action to mark 1,000 days since the start of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. The association, joined by various organizations, is gathering at the union buildings to urge the South African government to champion children's rights in Ukraine and across the globe. The event will spotlight the forced deportation of Ukrainian children and draw attention to similar crises impacting vulnerable children in Africa as well as Gaza. Newzroom Africa's Veronica Mokhwari is now joining us live. Veronica, very good morning to you. And these 1,000 days come as it seems as though tensions are also escalating between Ukraine as well as Russia after these missiles have been fired into Russia.
That's right, Aldrin. In fact, on Tuesday, Ukraine marked the 1,000th day of the full-scale invasion of Russia into Ukraine, marking that day with a wave of fresh Russian missiles, as well as the continued bombardment of civilian areas. We are gathered here at the Union Buildings essentially to reflect on this conflict and the kind of crisis that it's brought on into the instability of not just Ukraine, but the effects that have been felt across the world, and specifically here in South Africa. I am joined by the president of the Ukrainian Association of South Africa. Kateryna, thank you so much for your time. As we mark 1,000 days of this conflict, the significance of gathering here, specifically at the Union Buildings.
Thank you so much. Yes, today we're gathering together with religious leaders, academics, civil societies, organizations to pray together for return over 90,500 Ukrainian children, which were forcefully deported to Russian occupied territories or Russia itself. As well, during the South African peace mission in 2022, Ramaphosa urged Putin to return all children, but Putin refused. South Africans are known for defending human rights worldwide. We call on South Africans to do everything what is possible to support return Ukrainian kids to their families and communities. And today we are going to pray for this and for all kids in the world who suffer from war, who suffer in refugees camp, poverties. And I think worldwide we mark 35th anniversary of Convention on Rights of Children. And I hope it will be a strong call to everyone, stand and be vocal and be voice of those children and make their life like it should be, safe, with love and protected.
Yeah. And certainly, as you speak about South Africa's peace mission to Ukraine, it was really one of those really highly publicized events. But even during then, there was a call for the South African government to do more. How has the Ukrainian community in South Africa been impacted by the war? And what more efforts do you think needs to be done?
We are very happy that we have a good platform which united Ukrainians and South Africans. We're collaborating with Desmond and Leah Tutu Foundation and Institution of Justice and Reconciliation. Together was 20 other experts from South Africa and Ukraine, created policy briefs on regional security, nuclear safety and children's rights, which were presented this year on the African summit, and hope that these policy briefs will start working and help to return kids back.
And let's just talk about that. You mentioned there about the fact that when we have wars like this, it affects children, the most vulnerable most. And we've seen that throughout the time that there's been a lot of escalation, not just in Ukraine, but in Africa, in Gaza, where children are caught in the conflict of this. How do we draw the parallels of what's happening in Ukraine to the rest of the world?
Yeah, we see global crisis all over. For us, it's not just, it's a war of democracy against autocracy, unfortunately. And me as an artist myself, 2 years ago, together with the South African artists, dancers and musicians, we create dance performance which calls we stand for freedom. And one of the strong message of those performance was we need to unite in solidarity. And only solidarity will make us win. And our reality is, unfortunately, one country can't do much. But as Ukraine, we see we already staying for 1,000 days. But it's only possible with union of others, almost 50 countries. And we hope that South Africa is one of those countries who are helping. That's why, only in solidarity we can move to the peaceful life.
Thank you so much for your time. That was the president of the Ukrainian Association of South Africa. They're speaking on the 1,000 days of that war between Ukraine and Russia, speaking really of the resilience as well, Aldrin, of the country, as you'd imagine, facing what is really known as to be the #1 army in the world, essentially. But this event to also bring and draw attention to the most vulnerable during conflicts, and that is children. And of course, as you heard, the event will kickstart with a prayer session, as well as discussions and dialogues from several organizations, as well as the Ukrainian ambassador to South Africa. Back to you, Aldrin.